So starting off, what does it mean to you that you get to come back here after, having such a successful career and have a book like this out?
Yeah, it's awesome to come back here to see a lot of these guys, see the coaching staff. Brings back a lot of memories from when I was playing here. So Indiana always still feels like home to me.
Especially, it is your home state to begin with, so what did it mean to you that you were able to have such a successful career at the state school?
It means a lot. It was one of the things that went into my decision to play here, and it means a lot, like you said, growing up here, watching IU, and then to get the chance to play here and have a successful career was everything that I could ask for, so it was definitely fun.
Now you moved on to the pro level, obviously, and you have a brother who's also playing at that level. What's it like to have such a successful basketball family, but like the utmost standard of success?
Yeah, it's definitely cool. It's crazy that one of us can make it to the NBA, let alone all three of us have played in the NBA at some point. And I think we help each other out. I think it's a lot of credit to being tough on each other growing up, but also being supportive of each other throughout the season. And we're both happy for each other. Todd and I right now, and he's having a great career so far, and I'm happy in Charlotte, so it couldn't be better.
Yeah, what's it like in Charlotte right now for you? How's it been this past, couple seasons?
It's been fun. I love Charlotte as a city. Great opportunity for me to play a lot. We missed the playoffs this past year, but I think we'll be better this year. And so going into my third year, I'm excited for it.
Now, your parents have helped come out with this book and everything. What's in it?
There's a lot of good stories in there. They tell a lot of stories that I hadn't even heard about them, dating and everything else, and then tells a lot of stories of us growing up. And I think it does a good job of capturing. I think the reader gets a good feel for each of our personalities. So I think there's a lot of good stories in there, so it's worth a read.
Now, obviously, you're fortunate because you have such supportive parents. What was it like growing up with that type of support?
Yeah, I feel very fortunate. Unfortunately, having two loving parents is not the norm these days, and I credit a lot of them, my success to them and how I was raised. So hopefully I can be as good of a parent as they are.
Now you got to tell me about the one-on-one, 3-on-3 sessions with your brothers growing up. What were those like?
It was definitely brutal at some points. Being the younger brother, I got beat up a lot, but it made me better. It made me tougher. We made everything in a competition. Everyone focused on the basketball one-on-one, but we made everything in a competition just because that's how we are. And definitely fun growing up with two older brothers.
You and Tyler trash talk a lot still, if at all.
Not too much, but every once in a while we'll get a jab in here or there.
Of course, when they were little, we didn't know what they would be when they grew up, but they all played a variety of sports. We didn't know that they'd be basketball players, but they just continued to grow, and so naturally, being almost 7 foot tall, basketball became their chosen sport. But raising them was, we were pretty strict around the house. We had rules for them, but they were really pretty easy kids to raise.
That's good. And obviously, in Washington, Indiana, not many 7-footers walking around the streets, are there?
No, they didn't have a lot of anybody their size in town, but they did do AAU. We traveled to Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, and so they had plenty of competition.
What are the ages of the boys? What are the age differences between them?
They are all 3 months short of being 3 years apart. So about 3 years apart. In school, if one was a senior, then there would be a younger freshman. Mm-hmm. So it worked out well. They overlapped a little bit in high school.
Nice. Well, obviously, what was the recruiting process like when it came to colleges for these boys who went to all 3 great programs in college athletics?
The recruiting was, with the oldest one, we made a lot of mistakes. We tried to push things through, tried to figure out how we were going to force the issue, and then after we figured out it wasn't worth doing all that, we controlled the recruiting process rather than the recruiting process controlling us.
What so far both of you can answer this, what's been the best moment so far with just this experience you've been through?
Wow, it's hard to name one. Yeah, with each son we have kind of a special moment that kind of stands out. but we've been on such a wild ride with all of them. And now that they're all grown men, we know that they don't need their mom and dad to come to the games, but it's still fun for us to go to the games and support them more as friends than parents. And so we're just really fortunate.
Now, how often do you guys get to the games? Do you go, do you have apartments in Charlotte and Boston? Do you guys, how does it work?
No, but we do try to get to their city once a month. And so Tyler being in Boston, Cody being in Charlotte, and then Luke lives here in Bloomington. So we're pretty fortunate. We get to see them about once a month. And on the NBA end, they play so many games that, if we go for 3 days, we could see 2 or 3 games while we're there.
And we're pretty simple and keep things financially very simple, and we stay with them. They still allow us to stay with them.
Good sons. You guys have raised them well for letting you shack up with them.
Yeah, that's right.
And you guys wrote this book. What kind of was behind the idea to, write a book?
We'd had several people, kind of compliment us about our boys and the young men that they've become. And we're the first to admit that we're not perfect parents, but we have learned a lot along the way, and we thought through writing the book we could pass that on to parents. We feel like we're all on the same team. We're all trying to raise great young men, and so we've kind of passed on some of our parenting experiences.
Now, again, for both of you, social media nowadays has just taken over, and I'm sure you've heard horror stories, some good stories. What do you suggest to parents out there who are going through this process right now with their kids?
Don't read it. The easiest thing is don't read it, and if you do read it, realize you're going to get mad. Everybody has an opinion, and your kid's going to be great for some, and they're going to be the worst for others. And the best thing to do is just not read it. And we tried to keep it a safe environment at the house. We tried not to bring up a lot of the recruiting when they were in the house, and just kind of made it so it was let them be themselves. Let them just go through and be themselves, and once again, control the process.
What do you hope people get out of reading the book?
I hope that they can learn some of the lessons that we learned. We made mistakes as the boys went through, from childhood, getting older, and also the recruiting process. But we learned from it. We got better at it as we went. And, every child has a different personality. 3 boys, each one, as we tell in our book, each one has a different personality, even though they all came out of the same mold. But I hope that parents can see that and try to bring out the best in each of their kids.
And how about for you?
Same thing, as far as just being able to take some of the lessons, and like Lorri says, we're not perfect parents, and we just hope that be able to take some things from there and be able to help and be able to raise their children with a thought and be able to think it through rather than just react to things.
What's it like to be basically compared to the Mannings, as far as when everyone thinks Manning, they think football, when everyone thinks Zeller, they think basketball? Zeller's literally the first family of basketball right now. How does that feel?
I would say that we don't compare to the Mannings. The Mannings are, with Archie Manning, I grew up watching him play football and being, with the Saints and being able to do all the things that they do. And I would not put us on the same level as the Mannings.